Why, hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. It's Mary Cronert from the LivingRoom Community Art Studio here, and welcome back to another live stream artist chat on Instagram. Every Tuesday, we're here chatting with another creative change maker, artist, entrepreneur, people who have that love of making things in their hearts and in their hands. And today we're branching out a little bit from the traditional kind of fine arts world of things, and we're dipping our toes in another area of nourishment, and that is food, the culinary arts. And of course, this is something special and precious to me because, well, I love food. And this person that we're talking with has been a wonderful supporter of the LivingRoom project for as long as I can remember. They've always been there, sharing their food with us, sharing their heart with us, their wonderful skills and wisdom. Today we're going to be chatting with Keri-Ann Peacock of Indigenous Catering. Now, this is the catering business is a fairly recent new endeavor, but Keri-Ann has been catering for the community, creating wonderful, delicious, healthy things for as long as the studio has been around, as long as, like in my memory, at least. And you might be familiar with them. You might have seen them at a few of our events, catering various things the LivingRoom used to do at the studio space. So we're so happy that they've agreed to chat with us today and share a little bit about what they do, who they are, and why they love what they do with our community. And for those of you who might be doubting or wondering, oh, what does food have to do with art? Well, come on. Every time you've been sitting around the table with someone creating in an art hive, doesn't it feel a little bit like the family dinners you wish you'd had? Doesn't it feel a little bit like what you're creating together is nourishing the community and nourishing yourself as you share art supplies and ideas and conversation, all of those beautiful, lovely things that at least I wish happened around that family dinner table. They also, and more often than not, tend to happen when I'm making art with people. So that's for me where that overlap is. And of course, you can get creative with food as well. Food is an art form. Making food is a wonderful skill that people share with us every day of our lives. So you know what, without further ado, why don't I bring someone on with a little more lived experience in this area? Let me invite Keri-Ann. So let's see, here we go. Oh, there we go. Keri-Ann join us in this conversation. Keri-Ann of Indigenous Catering. So happy to have them here. This is great. Hi.
Hello.
Oh, it is good to see your face.
Yeah, it's been a while, eh?
It has been a while. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Might have some extra background noise. Kids are hyper. Took them to the park, but they still have more energy.
That's totally fine. Kids are welcome. Pets are welcome. We've had cats visiting Instagram live streams before, things like that. It's life, right? That's just life.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, let's adjust my volume here.
Yeah, do what you need to do so it can feel comfortable and you can hear everything well. Do I sound okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Lovely. It's such a pleasure having you join us, and I know you're very busy. Oh, there we are. Hello. Oh, hi. Yeah, if they want to say hello, they're welcome to. Because they've already made an introduction. Hi. Oh my goodness. Hello.
Okay, go play. Go play.
Now that is another one of your wonderful creations.
Yes. Yeah.
And before I get in chatting about all of the wonderful things you've been up to, you know what? I gave a super brief introduction, but you can do it better than I can. Can you introduce yourself to anyone who might be watching out there?
Okay. So, Ani Bojo, Keri-Ann Peacock. No. Okay, stop. Keep your hands and feet to yourself. Figures, right? Okay, stop. Go on your show. Go watch your show, please. Good. I'm glad you did that. Okay. Now go find something nice and kind to play with. Yeah. I just introduced myself in my language, which is Anishinaabe. That's very important for me to use my language whenever I can. And right, so I'm the owner and chef of Indigenous Catering. So I've been catering for about 5 years on and off due to maternity leave 2 times.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic. So during the course, I've kind of kept it part-time. And then I also work at Keri-Ann Community Health Center part-time as well during the same time frame.
Yeah.
And by working in both positions, I've been able to network and make a lot of connections in the community, and I'm able to just reach our people more that way. I used to say. Yeah.
You call that involved?
Sure. Yeah. So that's that part. So I graduated. Went to Durham College when it first opened up the Center for Food in Whitby. The first group there, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I did their 2-year culinary management program, and I graduated with honors.
Of course.
Yeah, it was a great experience there. I got to help set up the restaurant, the Bistro 67 there. So we got to like partake in the menu and the flow of things. And
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
yeah, it was a great experience because that's what I wanted. That's the reason why I went to school. So before that, I wanted to open a restaurant, but then I also wanted to make sure I had the background information, so I just jumped in with all passion and excitement.
Yeah.
So it was a perfect opportunity. I got to see like just how like the back of the house is run and the administration part. It's pretty cool. I keep looking away. I don't know why. Like I need to.
But so you can look wherever you want to look. You don't have to look just like into my eyes, Keri-Ann, into my eyes. No, it's all good.
You know, I just lose my train of thought too. So I'm like, I gotta stop. You don't notice your tendencies until it happens, right?
You know what? It's one thing I love about these artist chats is that they're so like we get to just be together and hang out and show people a little, like open up a tiny little window into our lives. And I love that, you know, this is it. This is life for you. You're like, there are many different things you juggle. There are many different passions in your life. And it's not just one color. Like there's so many different colors to who we are. So just be where you're at, and, you know, and I'll try to be where I'm at as well. And we'll just have a lovely little chat. And if people are watching, hello, welcome. If folks miss the live stream, don't worry. You can tune in later. It's archived on the Living Room Art Studios Instagram page, so you can watch it again later on if you like. All right. So I'm going to ask you, here's some questions for you. Okay. Well, we'll start with this one. I consider cooking and creation of food and all of the many things involved in that an art. Do you consider it an art?
I do. I consider it an art, but also at the same time, like a beautiful necessity. It's something that we need to sustain ourselves, like oxygen. And it's an element and an art form that we can just express, you know, 3 times a day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Maybe get creative with snacks. And sometimes too, like food photography. Like that's like an art. You can't eat that art. Like the behind the scenes of that one. Like, it's probably the only version of that one you can't eat.
So did you always know that you were an artist then? Did you always have this passion for food and wanting to feed people? No. Yeah, please don't make a mess. Clean it up when you're done. Okay. I've always been creative. Just using like different elements, like watercolors, painting, doodling, and stuff. I didn't really care for cooking when I was younger. Really?
Just like wasn't really something that was that fun then. And as I got older, like it grew, like my taste buds. Like when I was younger, cilantro tastes like soap for me.
Yeah.
And then like the past maybe 10 years or so, it tastes delicious and I love it on everything. So it's like even like that changed, right? So So it's just amazing how like just we evolve over time. So it led me to enjoy cooking, my passion. I got really sick about 15 years ago or so. I got like diabetes, I had liver problems, kidney issues, like the whole works that goes along with being like extremely overweight. So then that led me to researching our whole food systems and breaking down like everything that I was eating, what it does to my body. And then that led to how our food was processed. And I was just kind of like awakened to this whole world that I never really knew about. Like I used to just go to the supermarket and buy like some chicken and cook it, whatever.
Yeah.
So now like I can't go to the supermarket and buy chicken because I know exactly what happened to that chicken, how it got there. The impacts of everything. So then that made me do a whole life change and like choices. Like I couldn't keep doing what I was doing with all the knowledge I had. So at that point, I made a choice to go vegan. So now I've been vegan for about, I don't even know how long. At least 10 years. But the past year, it's more just plant-based and like vegetarian. Only because my kids like love cheese and are always trying to like eat, share. So I'm like, whatever. You know, I would say like if you're, you know, like a dying grandparent makes you like, I don't know, like a cheesecake pie or whatever, eat it. You know, that's more important than whatever issues you have holding you back for whatever moral choices. So just sums it up, I guess. So yeah, so
there is a truth in that. I think food, I mean, that just encapsulates something so huge there about the meaning food holds. And it's not just the food itself, it's who makes the food and the thought and the love that comes through the food to you. It's not always as simple as, you know, good for me, bad for me. There's so much more. It's such a complicated issue, isn't it?
Yeah, right. And I was need to just try our best and, you know, choose the good. So yeah. I would say eat that pie your grandma makes you. Yeah. So, and also to being, I guess, the plant-based world, and then in my culture, being Indigenous, there's always the questions I get every time, like, how can you not eat meat if you're Indigenous? Like, isn't that your culture and what you're supposed to do? Which it is. So what I always say is like, I've made it here thus far, eating what I do. So the remaining, so like bison or caribou or anything that I'm eating can go to the other people that sustains them, and then I can eat something else, right? But if for some reason I needed to, I would, but I don't have to. So it's just the way it is. And then I also learned to respect every piece of meat that I do prepare. And I make sure, like, I care for it, like, depending what it is, like, I'll put, like, tobacco down and, like, you know, say thank you for your life, for this nourishment, and then I'll use that to nourish other people in a respectful, kind way. The only food that's off limits for me to cook is veal and lamb. Because, like, they're little, they're young, you know, like, there's no need to do that, right?
So you're like, don't ask me.
Yeah, don't ask me.
Awesome. It's out there now.
Yeah.
Were you always aware of, and then, like, I realize this is a big question, it's a loaded question, so if it's something that you feel it's like there's not enough time to go into, just let me know. But were you always aware, like, of the cultural legacy of food within your culture, or was it something that you came to later in your life?
No, I was always aware of it. Just things I like, you're just naturally brought up on with your aunties and like your mom, like my mom, that making bannock and just eating like wild game meat sometimes. But more so, it's just evolved to thinking more on like food sovereignty, seed saving, food system. So it's just evolved more into like that area, which I'm finding, and that's where I'm headed towards in my career path right now.
Really?
Yeah. So I have a garden right now growing, and I have several Indigenous seeds, like some and asazi beans, which were the 1,500-year-old cave beans that they found in New Mexico area.
Wow.
So some of those grown in my garden. Some orchid beans. I have some Seneca corn. No, Seneca beans. One or the other. One of them Seneca. Some hominy corn. Just a ton of varieties outside. So I'm hoping that they'll grow and my raccoons won't get them.
I hear you. I'm looking at my window. I've got some corn growing, and I have it screened in. I have like each little corn in my tiny garden has like a little protective screen around it.
Oh, I think I need to do that.
Who knows if it will work? These critters are crafty, and they've been here longer than us, so they'll, if they want it, I'm sure they can have it.
Yeah, I can't be too mad because they're pretty cute. I'm not gonna lie. It's like little baby ones hit my front porch. Yeah, so gardening's a good passion that's evolved from my love of cooking. I do a catering business. I'm starting to go and like do more research in that area, which I really like a lot. So with my catering business and working with Keri-Ann Health Center, I can kind of like intermix them a little bit and help each part grow. So at Keri-Ann, I was able to do Indigenous garden program where I gave out some extra seeds and all the supplies and tools that they needed. Then we did like a presentation. And we just talked about like the importance of it, and maybe start a garden club. I don't know, because like there's a lot with like say we grow food in that, like they have their space in the gardens as well, right?
Yeah.
But just to have like an Indigenous space would be absolutely amazing. So that's evolving, which I really like to see. And then, yeah, I'm hoping I can use some of my produce in the garden or in the cooking. I don't know, the catering. We'll see. The raccoons don't win.
Maybe we can find a peaceable alliance between them and us, and to figure it all out.
I'll trade like give an apple, give me my corn back.
Yes. I am so excited about this. So during this last year and a half, you have been busy.
Yeah, it doesn't even seem that long, but it's like the longest 2 weeks ever for lockdown, right?
Yeah. So this is like a really, really beautiful thing that you have going. So it's not just like a catering business to feed people to make a living. There's an educational component. There's a community building component. There's a food, like a farm to table or a field to table component, just to help people get back in touch with real food and where it comes from.
Yeah, it's a good beginning, which it's happening like, all over. So once we get bigger, it'd be nice to like connect more with community members, and it's just, so I know there's like this huge already community that's grown. Like there's the the Durham Food Policy Council, and they're connected with like a lot of the community gardens, the dig programs. Yeah, so it'd be nice to be part of reshaping the Indigenous food systems that's like within the urban settings, right?
Yeah.
It just seems like a lot of mostly out there,
Yeah, but it's also because in Oshawa, as I understand it, there's like a huge Indigenous population in Oshawa alone, like much larger than I think I realized at first. There's like statistically speaking, like a high percentage, like largest percentage in Southern Ontario, then like off like.
I think it's like the second from like Toronto, like the first.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know the numbers. I used to know those numbers. No, but yeah, and it's just a matter of like reaching out with that community, getting them to connect to one another. Because I know like, a fair amount within, but I know there's still like based on that number, which is pretty high. It's like, well, where are you? Hi. Let's all get together. Yeah. It's like I miss the drug socials we used to have too.
That's what I was just thinking, that so much of, at least in my limited experience of like Indigenous gatherings where everyone in the community is welcome. It is.
girls.
I love it so much. It's life. Um, there is that, there's something so important about coming together and being in relationship with one another and sharing food in like person. And it's, that's been robbed from a lot of people for over the last year and a half. How have you been, like, and how has the community been like keeping those connections alive during this time?
It's definitely a lot different than before. A lot of like communities and agencies have been able to spin and pivot pretty good with our virtual platforms.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to connect more farther and like wider and have more guest speakers and like learn more about our history, like in our culture. But also, it's just not the same as connecting face to face, in person, in group. You know, do like our ceremonies. But I don't know, like it's still positive, still good. Hopefully in a year it'll be a mix of virtual, a mix of like in person, and
Yeah.
maybe even more connected.
I think so. That's my hope as well, that the virtual bridges we've been able to build will help people perhaps who couldn't be here when it was only in person, that we'll have more ways of connecting and staying connected as we move forward. How beautiful will that be?
I like that. And we'll be less burnt out too with all the restrictions.
Yeah, right? You know?
Zoom burnout.
Yeah, Zoom burnout is definitely a thing. I think. Well, let's talk a little bit then, just shift gears a little bit, and I might come back to this again, but I'd love to know, you were talking a little bit earlier about when you first began to love cooking food. Who are some of the big, or what are some of the big influences for you? We've talked about veganism a little bit and the importance of maintaining your health, but is there anyone out there, any person or people in your life that kind of launched you or guided you in this direction?
More so, I guess, a spiritual awakening. Just, you know, I kind of balanced out, and that's just kind of where my heart was leading to.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really anybody in particular to lead me there or to talk about these things. I was just kind of like the crazy person talking, but like, oh, did you hear about this? Like, this is insane. No, I guess basically friends and family just, I guess, hear me out, being patient, hear me talk about all these new things that I've discovered. Yeah, just like a collective whole, I guess.
Yeah. You were talking a little bit before about I find, you know what, always tell me, just say, back off, weird art lady. I don't want to talk about that, and it's fine. But you were mentioning the interesting tension that can be there sometimes between being vegan and the perceptions of Indigenous food culture, and like, how can you do that? And it made me think of a group out there called, I think they're called the Veggie Meadows. Have you ever heard of them before?
What is it, sorry?
I think they're referred to either. I think they're the Veggie Meadows. You know what? I'll send you a link afterwards. But it is essentially like Indigenous people from across, you know, North America and Central America who are making the choice to be vegan and highlighting all the foods within their culture that were already vegan, things that, you know, have always been plant-based, because that's such an important part of food and, you know, in maintaining wellness. Could you share a little bit more with us about, you know, that part of your, like, what you love about cooking and what you love about making food, and, you know, how culture ties into that?
Yeah, okay. So yeah, it's cool. I've never heard of that group, but I'm definitely willing to learn more. But yeah, like in our culture, there's like the hunting season, and then the meat that they took from that, we save for like the winter time and like preserve it and things like that to last throughout, right? But in the summertime, like we had our own agricultural systems, and it was more, yeah, I say plant-based throughout the summer and things like that, like the Three Sisters, we had like beans, squashes, like wild berries, and then we had like an extensive trade route, right? So yeah, there was like plenty of vegetables and sorry.
If you need to go, if you need to go check on them, it's totally okay.
They're okay now. Where was I? Okay, yeah. So train of thought. What were we talking about again?
Just culture, Indigenous culture, and veganism, and how they kind of
Oh, right.
complement or collide.
Okay, yeah. So within my culture, everything we've done was with respect and kindness. So when we hunt, we give thanks. We do it in a certain way. We don't hunt like the babies or like the females or anything. It's just like the male figure. And we use every single part of it, right? And then that portrays out through like when we're harvesting our crops. We do everything with respect, like we put down tobacco and we give thanks. So that type of attitude stays with us and helps us to maintain a harmonious ecosystem.
Yeah.
So that was never really like an issue. I guess what veganism would entail, like, as it would say, like the past 200 years with the Western diet, whereas like it's not done in a kind, respectful way. It's more like a fast commodity, consumerism, supply and demand. So there's no second thought. It's just kind of like, here's an animal, throw it around, whip it up, chop it. It has like a terrible, horrible life. Yeah. And then it gets basically onto our plates without like a second thought. So the difference between the two is like how I view it. If it's done in a respectful way versus how the Western culture is doing it right now, it's like night and day. Like I would eat, let's see, like I guess buffalo would be hunted, like an elk that'd be hunted in a respectful way. And if that was given to me in a ceremony, I would eat that. And I wouldn't feel like as terrible as I would if I went to McDonald's and had a beef burger. Like, there's just two similarities, right? And a lot of people don't see that. They just see as like one whole, like all animals are being hurt and lived in like torturous ways, right? But they're not the same. And that's where a lot of people bump heads. Even like within my culture, I have some Indigenous like friends saying like, how could you be vegan? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, that type of thing. And I was like, no, this is why. Like, you know, I understand that. Do you eat game meat all the time, respectfully, or do you go to McDonald's or Burger King as well? Right?
Good question.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's the same as like choosing like cage-free versus like free run and the typical factory farmed, right?
Yeah.
So the typical structured arguments that I have, I guess.
It's a tricky thing, and that's what I was curious if you encountered. And it's good to know, like, all families to a certain extent are the same. If you encountered the same strange pushback that a lot of us did when we first told people, you know, I'm not eating another human or another creature or another something alive.
And even if you don't tell them that, you just don't eat it, and then all of a sudden, like, you still get under their skin, right?
That's right.
But there was Oh, sorry?
Oh, no, there was just a comment that came up. I wanted to highlight someone saying that an Indigenous, like, plant-based vegan cookbook would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be cool. One day.
Just add that to the list, Keri-Ann.
Yeah. I have, like, notes and Post-its everywhere, and just gotta, like, come all together.
If anyone could do it, you could do it. Yeah,
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Well, I think about everything that, again, like I was mentioning earlier, like juggling many plates. You are a teacher, an educator, like a peer at Keri-Ann. You share your skills and your love of what you do with the community. You also share food with the community. Like that, it seems to be a central principle of what you do with helping people who maybe don't have access to healthy food. That seems to be a very large part of what you do.
Yeah, and that reminds me, one of my beginning goals, which still is a goal, it's not that prominent right now, but it's still an end goal, is to have like one more of like a fine dining restaurant and have a casual one, but then have like a fine dining, affordable, healthy restaurant where you can take your family of like 5 to sit down and have a nice meal at about same or less than you would for like McDonald's for the same thing, right? Like
yes,
that would be amazing, right?
Yes.
So that's like something I'm working towards.
Can I help? What do you need? How can we help? How can we make this happen?
Time and babysitters.
Okay, I'm in. I can do that.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I can always keep you updated on like the things that are happening right now. So also remind me when you're talking about the veganism and then sharing food. So before the pandemic, with the drum socials, I was in charge of feeding everybody who attended the drum socials. So a lot of the foods that I served just happened to be vegan. And I just never advertised it because it wasn't something that I thought was necessary.
Yeah.
So I would make Three Sisters soup that would like corn, beans, squash. I'd use like sweet potatoes, a lot of root vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
And then the broth would just naturally be from like the veggies, no need to add anything. And then I would make the wild rice and Monoman salad, which the protein's already in like the wild rice with the maple syrup and fresh berries. And then my bannock is just like water, flour, baking powder, and salt. And that's it. So it's naturally vegan. And I would use canola oil. But now I'm switching to coconut oil because it came to light of like how toxic vegetables are when they're heated at high heat, so when it goes to our bodies. So that's another issue.
Okay.
Right? So yeah, so I'm transitioning little things like that within my menu. But yeah, so that meal that we cooked for Drum Social, I believe we served like 600 to 700 people, happened to be all vegan. And nobody complained. They all enjoyed it. It was like full of nourishment and it was like well balanced. And so I like to do those things. Like it just naturally happens that way. Some people say, "Oh, there's no veganism like or vegetarian meals like that." And I'm like, "Yep, yes, there is."
And good food is good food.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, that's so. When I think about events like that, where you've given your time, you've also, I think, like I've seen you out there giving food to people, just on this, people like literally you're out there on the street, connecting with people, saying, "Hey, have you had a chance to eat?" And you do that as well, don't you?
Yeah, usually after catering events, if there's anything extra, then we'll like box them up and we'll just go hand them out. And then I think it was after Christmas or Thanksgiving, we had some extra turkey just like show up. Like, so my husband gets home like a turkey, like frozen one, and he's the only one that eats meat here.
Yeah.
So then we just created meals for everybody and handed them out throughout the downtown area. And then we've done that a few times in Toronto as well. Excuse me. I'm busy, yes. Oh, you're okay. You're okay. She stubbed her toe.
Oh no, I'm so. Is she okay?
Yeah. Okay. Go play. Go play. Yeah. So we definitely like doing things for the community. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice to do more of that again. Seems like kind of crazy in the past couple months, but yeah, refocus. One
day soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm now, it's in my head forever that I'm looking out for this Indigenous vegan restaurant. It's in my brain, and I'll be there to check in to see if it's happening. Why do you think there hasn't been something like that up to this point?
It's not very popular. The combination.
Maybe.
I think, I don't know. I've always thought about that, like, should I combine it, keep it separate, or just keep, like, the main front plant-based, the catering, can be a mix of, like, the gamed and rented foods and things like that. Because it's both things that I'm a part of. Hey, girls! Oh, we'll say sorry.
We're getting a little Instagram live stream, not only learning about your art, the art of food and what you do, but also mothering as well. Nice. Awesome.
Yeah, parenting. I still read parenting books. I think about that too, like kindergarten teachers, right? They go to school for like 4 or 5 years, right? And they have all this experience. And then also you become a mother and you have like 9 months to figure it out. Right? It's like, then go.
Then you're off, that's all it.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like, let's go to school for this.
But and that the question about like what kind of restaurant you'll have. Oh,
sorry.
Do you need to check in? They come first.
So she's just right beside me. She wants me to open Play-Doh. And I didn't get it all. Missed a meltdown. Okay, go play, please. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah.
That's all good. I can vamp. Hey, folks, thanks for watching. If you're out there, how you doing? Taking a little break. Taking a little break to take care of some young humans who are awesome. Thanks so much to everyone who is watching. And again, if you have to go or you're tuning in now and you missed the first part, you can always tune in to watch the rest. It's going to be archived and posted on our Instagram page shortly after this interview is complete. And we're back.
Yeah.
So that's an exciting process, just revisiting that idea of the dreams you have. And I think the dream, I mean, it feels like something that is quite achievable. I can see that. I can see that being a part of our community, that restaurant. That's an exciting place to be, to have that in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about creating things like that? How do you go about, you know, planning a menu? How, like, what kind of creativity goes into those things?
Well, it's just like with any like type of vision board, you got to like sit, think about like what do you want? What do you want your customers to feel?
Yeah.
What do you want them to eat, to imagine, come back for? So then I started off at the beginning with just like what the plate looked like. I don't know what was on it, but I wanted it to look really nice. I want like how they're sitting. So I just like drew some sketches. I played around with some like names, and then played around with food. So you just like figure out like, okay, well I want at least 5 desserts. What kind of desserts? What would be easy to do? And then for salads, what kind of salads do I like to eat? What kind of salads would I want to pay for? And how much would I want to pay for these things, right? So I just think about like just like that train of thought, really. What would I eat? What would my kids eat? What am I good at? And then just experiment different types of dishes, different flavor profiles, and then just writing it down. And it may not be like, this is the menu forever. It's just kind of like, this is a start.
Yeah.
This is what I like. This is the type of restaurant I'm going for. What's the goal? 5-year goals. So was my 5-year goals 5 years ago. And then I had like 2 babies, and then the pandemic hit. So it just kind of, I'm going to say it's going to be like 8-year goal.
Life happens.
3 years, yeah.
But do you feel like everything that has happened to you up to this point is informing how you move through as well? Like if you didn't have children, and like things would probably look extraordinarily different, and the kind of food you made and how you made it would be different. But it seems like that's like those elements of your life that are so important are now complementing everything else that you do and everything else you create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's definitely more family focused.
Yeah.
Like I definitely want like a room in my restaurant that's for them, so they can like kind of play. Maybe like if I want to come in for like a couple hours and play in that room, like I can just work and whatever.
Yeah.
Because like in our culture too, family is always around you. It wasn't just like you're over here for like 10 hours while I'm here. It was just like mixed together. Just saying like just with like upbringing, right? Like, we all kind of stayed in one room. Like I guess maybe like 200 years ago when we like used teepees a lot, we'd be in one room, right? Whereas like the Western culture would be like, I'm here, you're gonna be like on the 2nd floor, way down there, go to bed for like 12 hours. So like those things are like different, right?
Yeah.
So I like the idea of us being closer and a part of things. And like doing like the drum socials, and even some catering events, because I build good relationships with a lot of the clients that they'll allow like, oh yeah, bring your kids, no problem. Like one of them was, I used to cater for Durham District School Board for their Indigenous family nights on like the Tuesdays.
Yeah.
I would display their meal and cook that wonderfully, and my kids were welcome to enjoy the Indigenous programming and events that they had there. So I could like watch them and still take care of what I had to do, and like that was a beautiful community feeling. So yeah.
Right. That is, I love that. I think I wish more life was like that. I think over the last year and a half, that's one of the things that I'm hoping to hold on to moving forward, is not to lose that sense of, you know, I miss people that I haven't been able to see, but I also love being able to organize my life in a way that has meaning for me, and not just the the expectations of the outside world. Like, what actually helps me stay healthy and helps me feel well and creative and inspired moving forward through each day. I think before, it was easy to let that be defined by other people and the expectations of other people who, maybe were paying me a salary, or just what I thought I was supposed to do to keep other people happy or to be like everybody else. But now there's a sense of, wait a second, maybe I don't have to do that. Maybe I can, like have my family close, work in circle with other people, take care of prioritize my mental health and well-being rather than work until I burn out. I don't know. Are you feeling
break the mold?
Yeah. I mean, you are definitely someone who is breaking the mold, I think, in a lot of ways. Do you feel that?
I definitely feel like good changes often.
Yeah.
I've learned at an early age, because I used to work from when I was 16 up, like every day. It feels like it. So I've learned what I like, what I don't like, what I tolerate, and what I will not tolerate. So I've left quite a bit of jobs based on like, well, I don't have to be here, so have a good day.
Nice.
Right? And I've been fortunate where like it wasn't like so detrimental where like I couldn't do that and I'd lose my house type of thing. Like I was able to transition without having to worry about that aspect, which not a lot of people can. And it's unfortunate, right? But
Yeah.
so very grateful that I could do that though. So yeah, it's just.
Do you feel like revisiting the cultural kind of that Indigenous the concepts of family being close and not compartmentalized in that way? Do you feel like moving forward that there will be more of that for everyone? Do you think?
I hope so, especially like with having to work from home, and then the commuting back and forth, and I don't know. It takes more people to demand that. Like, there's some big companies out there that I've heard that have like daycares within like their corporate buildings and things like that. And I'm like, we need to see more of that,
Yeah.
Way more of that. Like, let's stop. She's throwing pom poms at me.
Excellent.
It's like art time.
It's like being at the studio right now. It's like the living room when it was opened, and I'm here.
Yeah. The girls definitely enjoy going there a few times.
We miss them, and we miss we miss that life, just the busyness and everything of it. It was. Hopefully, we'll be out there again soon with the mobile art studio. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. That's cool.
Well, we'll see. One day at a time.
Yeah.
One day. So, on the subject of hopes, dreams, and what's inspiring you moving forward, what are the things that you are really excited about?
I'm really excited about the future.
Yeah.
To get my restaurants up and running. But yeah, that amongst developing my catering company further. Now that I've started it back up again, making new connections.
Yeah.
I have like a bunch of events coming up that I'm excited to cater. When's a wedding? I'm excited.
Oh wow, lovely.
It's just gonna look definitely a lot different than the typical sit-down meals and things like that, but that's okay. Just excited to see everything expand where it's going. I don't know. I just gotta remember to get more sleep, to go to bed on time, so I have more energy to get all the things that I want to do and get done.
Yeah.
Okay, Elena. At least she's picking them back up and putting them in. Yes, I don't know.
And has self-care do you find yourself getting better at that self-care piece? Because I know it's a journey for all of us.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to do to take care of yourself these days?
Nap when I can. But you know how they tell you, I guess when you have newborns, nap when they nap when you can. See the dish, like that's true. You should do that. Because like you can't catch up on the sleep that you lost. So you just gotta start up and then try again. But that's important because it affects like your memory and like your just motivation. Yeah. So
So napping. At the top of that list is naps. Nap whenever possible. Nap when you can.
Yeah. Be well rested so then you can take on the world. Or your
Okay.
community.
Or your community. And you're such an important part of our community. I can't imagine it without you. Yeah, I think you hold a very special place in a lot of people's hearts.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I remember one day, hello, hi. I remember one day, it was one day when Mary Kelly was at the studio, and we were looking at, and you were catering the event, I think. Hello. Oh my goodness, look what you created. That is amazing. What is that called? Does it have a title? You don't have to name it if you don't want to. It can just be awesome because it's awesome. That is awesome. Oh. And I remember Mary saying, she was looking at you and Tanya, and she was saying, they're pretty special.
Oh yeah? Aw.
Yeah.
She's sweet.
So there's a lot of folks out there who care about you so much and who know that you are valued, you are loved in this community. And I think it's important to say it out loud. Hi.
Thank you.
Well,
I'm
you know
very
what?
blessed this community. We've been here for like 15 years or more. I just love seeing it evolve.
Yeah.
Everything.
Me too.
Especially your studio being mobile. It's like,
well, fingers crossed we'll be able to bring it to you, park outside.
Yeah.
Maybe do a bit of babysitting for you. Oh wait, I didn't say that loud.
I'm holding you to it.
Well, for now, you know what? Thank you so much. I've had you on the line for so long now, and you've got some excellent little humans there who I'm sure would love to have you back. One last thing, for anyone out there who perhaps is where you might have been, 15, 20 years ago, maybe someone who has these dreams but doesn't know where to start, what would you say to them? What do you wish that someone had told you when you were in that place?
Mom.
Don't let fear stop you. You're going to be scared anyway. Just do it. Plan ahead. Create your vision. Get a journal. Write it all down. So the days where you feel like defeated or tired, you just open it back up and then reread what you believed in again, and that kind of just, sparks that memory, that motivation.
Yeah.
And that's like for anything, really. Like whatever goal you have. Just don't be afraid. I try to tell my girls like that. Don't be scared. Like say they're jumping in a pool or whatever, right? I'm like, don't be scared, just jump. I'm scared. I'm like, that's okay. Hold my hand, let's jump.
It's okay to be scared, but it doesn't have to stop you from doing the thing you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Are you changing that?
Yeah, and then try to find that balance too, where it's like, well, it's gonna hurt you.
No.
Yeah. Safety first.
We're not even watching TV.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Keri-Ann. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. So nice seeing your face again, and I hope it's been lovely for folks out there in the community to see your face again too, in case they haven't in a little while. And I do hope we get to see one another in person sometime soon again.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored. Yeah, and hopefully I rambled on some topics well.
Oh, we rambled. That's what it is. One more thing I almost forgot though. If folks want you to cater, if folks want your food, what do they do?
So they can contact me on my email. A lot easier for me to keep track of everything. I try to check that as often as I can. But I also noticed with Instagram, with my new account, I sometimes don't get the notifications in time, and also like 2 weeks later, I was like, boom, you got a notification saying it's today, and it wasn't. So I don't know if I have to like uninstall it or something. Okay. So I'm working on those glitches. So email's best. It's on my Instagram page and my Facebook page.
Excellent.
Yeah, and they're all fairly new pages because I've always just worked networked word of mouth because it's just myself and 2 other employees on call.
Yeah. Grassroots, DIY, that's how we do it. Dream big, smart, start small.
Yep.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again real soon. Take care. All my love. Lots of hugs.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
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 I don't know how to end this thing. So.
Oh, I can do that here. Bye. Oh, well, there you have it, folks. Thank you so much for joining us for that live stream chat today with Keri-Ann Peacock of Indigenous Catering. Keri-Ann's such an important part of our community, and we're just so thrilled. We're so, just what a lovely, wonderful person to have. And like I said, I can't imagine our community without her. So please do check out Indigenous Catering. And if you're interested in having some of that healthy food, healthy, delicious food for yourself or for an event, connect with them, send an email or message them on Facebook, and yeah, get that done. But what a lovely thing to keep in mind. For all the folks out there wanting to do something, we can dream big and start small, and we're all going to be a little bit afraid to start, but don't let that stop you from doing the thing you love. Wow. Well, thanks again for joining us. Until we can connect and create again in person, I look forward to connecting and creating with you right here online. And see you again in another virtual Art Hive moment real soon, folks. Bye.